So with this one over here, I don't need a router. All what I need to do on this one here, after I create the VLAN and I put the IP address, I will enable something called IP routing. Once I do the IP routing, that's it. I can route between VLANs. Okay. And that's the step. Enable IP routing, issue the IP routing at the global configuration. Now, any question about this part or the previous part? Because I want you to understand that topic very well because it's very, very important. Because whenever you go to work, uh, you have to do VLANs. You have to work with VLANs. So that's the steps you have to do on D1 and the multi-layer switch. First, you need to create VLANs. In this case, how many VLANs? According to this topology, we only need two, VLAN 10 and 20. And you assign IP address to each VLAN. And you need to enable IP routing. Then you come to this PC here. You need to plug it in to the port that belongs to that VLAN. So I think they miss up configure access port. Yeah, it's right here, 3. So after you do create VLAN, you put the IP address, then you need to go and assign ports to each VLAN. On this case, I don't know what the port number, G1 gigabit 106 connected to 10 and G01's G1/0/18 to VLAN 20. So the port over here, this port has to belong to VLAN 20, and this port has to belong to VLAN 10. Then after you do this, you do the IP routing, then you'll have a route in between. Anybody test this one here before? Let's see. Let's see what I have here. I think we did more than that even. Okay. So this is one of the exercises we did yesterday, let me see. Let's see. Enable show VLAN. Yeah, we created two VLANs, one for HR, one for accounting, and we assigned gigabit 0/1 for VLAN 10 and gigabit 10/20 to VLAN 20, which is this one here. So now I need to make sure I assign an IP address to each VLAN. So the way you can test it, you can say show interface brief. Now, show IP. Show IP interface brief. And I have two of them right here. The IP address for VLAN 10 is 192.168.10.1, or VLAN 20 is 192.168.20.1. So we need to make sure the desktop have the same network ID, which is we did here. And same thing in here. This is supposed to be 20, and it's over here. So let's see if we can communicate. So you can go and ping 192.168.20.10. So it's supposed to ping from here to here, and voila, it's pinging. And the reason why it's pinging is because I enable IP routing on this one here. We did that yesterday. So if I go to config T, uh, config T, and I say no IP routing and exit. Let's see if I can still do the same thing. I do ping again. Request timeout. Request timeout. Now I cannot communicate anymore. I cannot do inter-VLAN routing now. And the reason why, because I disable the layer 3 feature, which is the IP routing. So I need to go back and put it back to allow communication. And that's what we need to do. Config T, and I can say IP routing to enable it. Now I can end it and save it. Okay. Now, in some circumstances, some people said another feature that the multi-layer switch support, which is layer 2 does not, is you can assign an IP address to a specific port. By being able to configure that, you have to say no. You have to go to the interface first, then you have to say no switch port. And that's what we did for this particular port here, which is gigabit 10/24. And we assign the IP address. Let's see what we assign here. So we went to show again IP interface brief. Looks like we did not. Did we? Yep, right here. See that IP address? Gigabit Ethernet 10.10.2.2. So we assign it to this one here. And if I go back and say gigabit 10/24, if I go to that interface and say switch port mode access, I lose this feature. Okay. So the only reason we can assign IP address to this interface if we go to the interface and say no switch port. After you say no switch port, then you can assign an IP address to it. Any question at this point? Okay, and the rest of them is the same thing. I think we did that yesterday. Uh, so over here, what we did, we configured this one. Let's say if this is an ISP, let's make it an ISP router. We do that. Okay. So if this is an ISP and I have a multiple VLAN, so I can make this one, I can create a default route from the switch to the ISP. And as we did here before, so if we say show IP route, and you can see that over here we have the S asterisk. It shows I have a default route to any network using the next hub interface, which is basically what I'm saying. If you want to go to any network, go through this interface, which is 10.10.2, by the way. It's not that one. Okay. So you have to go through this interface. Now, if this is an ISP, then I need to create a static route to each VLAN. So it doesn't matter how many VLANs I have. So I need to create static route. So in this case, if you go to this router, I need to show IP route. Oh, show IP route. And you notice that I have a static route for the 192.168.10, and I have a static route for the 20 using the 10.10.2, which is the next hop interface, which is the IP address of this port right here. Okay? Any question? How many of y'all can do this? Well, uh, so basically, I'm going to give you another example because this one does not include what we did previously to create trunk. So what you need to do is I'm going to use the same configuration, but I want to add more VLANs in here, and I'm going to add switches in here. Well, suppose we have this scenario. Bum, bum. Okay. So if I go right here and add layer 2 switches, this is layer 2, and actually I need to go to gigabit, they all gigabits, so we go to gigabit 3, gigabit 1, and we do gigabit 2, and this one here. Okay. So the question is, if I have VLAN at this level, configure the VLAN on the switch and this switch, I want to configure this one as a trunk port and this one as a trunk port and enable inter-VLAN routing in here. So what I can do is this way. Let me give him a name first. So let's say this is a switch number 1. There's W1. There's W1. Save. And this is SW2. So I know what switches I'm working with. Okay, so I go to this one here. I say VLAN 10. Actually, I can do VLAN 2. VLAN 2 name. VLAN 2 name students. Okay, I'm gonna create, okay, and also I need to put an IP address. VLAN 2 IP is 172.16.2.0/24. Okay, let's put the IP addresses up so you can see it. Okay. And this one here, I need to assign ports. And the ports from 1 to 9. Also, I need VLAN 3. And 3. empty and VLAN for name IT or whatever you want to call them. Okay, so the IP address we're gonna use this system 172.16.2, 172.16.3, 172.16.4. So we can do that. We can say VLAN 3 IP equal 172.16.3.0/24. And same thing with the other one, VLAN 4 IP equal 172.16.4.0/24. Okay. Any question at this point? Somebody was saying something, or I missed.
No, sir.
Question. Okay. So at this point, I need to plug in. I need to plug in. I need to plug in. I need to configure. I need to plug in devices to each VLAN, and I need to configure that switch with VLAN. So the way you can do that, let's go create the VLANs first. Just a quick review. So I'll go to config T. Config T, you say VLAN 2. You put enter, and you put name. We call it what? Students VLAN. And we say VLAN 3. Name faculty VLAN. VLAN 4. Name IT. Exit. And I can say show VLAN. Okay, so that's the VLAN right here. And I don't assign any ports to it yet. So what you can do, you can go ahead and assign the ports. So you're gonna go to config T. According to this, so if I'm this switch, I put interface, range, and the reason why I put range because those are in sequence from 1 to 9. So instead of going one port at a time, I can do a range, interface range, FA 0/1-99. Then I put switch port, mode, access, switch port, access, VLAN 2. So in this process, basically, I assign VLAN 2 ports from 1 to 9. So let's see if this is taking place. If I put end, I put show VLAN, and this is going to show me what port belongs to VLAN 2, which is that's the port 1, 2, 3, 4, the one I just configured right here. Follow? So this is how you add or you assign ports to a specific VLANs. You have 3 commands you have to use. Okay. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other VLAN. Config T, interface. Let me minimize this screen so you can see. So according to this one here, we don't put the ports. Okay, so let's assign ports. Let's see here. Let's put ports So 10 to 15. Okay. And over here, I can do ports, not balance, ports, um, 16 to whatever, 22. Okay, I did that. So let's go back to the switch and configure, assign these ports to VLAN 3. So I go to the interface range from 10 to 15. Interface range FA0 slash 10 space 15 or dash 15. What we're gonna do with this with these ports, we need to change them, switch port to access port because they are dynamic. Switch port mode access. And also we need to assign them to VLAN 3, so switch port access VLAN 3. So we did that. Let's see, exit. I'm going to do the same thing for VLAN, for the IT, for VLAN 4. I go interface, range, ports, no, range FA0 slash what? 16
16.
dash 22. And this is what we do, switch port, mode, access, switch port, access, switch port, access, what? VLAN 4.
VLAN 4.
VLAN 4. Okay, done. So let's say exit. Now, one thing I need to do right here, I need to configure this port as a trunk and this port as a trunk. Okay. So let me save what I did first. And so I'm going to go to this guy here. So I don't know what port is this one. As you can see, this is port gigabit 0/23. So I'm going to go to this particular one and notice the difference between when you configure a trunk port on a multi-layer switch is a little bit different than when you configure it on layer 2. Okay. In a multi-layer switch, you have to put the encapsulation.
Right.
So we have to go config T. I need to enable first. Config T. You need to go to that interface, which is a gigabit 1. See, gigabit 1 slash 0/23. Because that's what's connected to. Okay. So now I put enter, and I need to switch port. What option I have? I have a trunk. Okay, we'll put trunk. What's after trunk? I need to put encapsulation. See that?
Right.
So you have to put the encapsulation.
801Q.
Encapsulation dot 1Q. Okay. Now, of course, if you put switch port, if you get another one, you need to put trunk. And this is basically if you put native VLAN 1, but if you change the VLAN, the native VLAN to 99 or something, you need to change them on both of them. We'll talk about that in the later slides or something. So now this is a trunk port. So how you know if you have a trunk port? you go show interfaces trunk. Show interfaces, show, supposed to be show interfaces. Hmm. Well, not. Show is trunk. Let's see, gigabit 0/23. Still shows is, let's see something.
Still shows it's on VLAN 1 too.
What is it?
Still showing it's as on VLAN 1.
Yeah. So VLAN. So VLAN 10. Okay, this is the port right here, still on VLAN 10. On VLAN 1. Do we configure the right one? Well, let me make this one as a trunk port too. So we gotta go config T. Um, interface gigabit 0/1. What else we need to do? Switch port, mode, trunk,
Access.
exit, and show interfaces. Trunk. See over here, it shows it. Over here, it didn't show it. Let's see. Maybe both sides needs to be. Let's see. Fast forward it. So this is becomes available. This is still amber. Let's see. Okay, I'm see that. Mm, show web. Oh, show VLAN. Show interfaces. That works. So it has to be on two ends to be a trunk. Okay. So now they are both trunk. So once it's a trunk port, it carries the traffic for all VLANs. Okay. So but that's not the purpose that we need to do this way. Okay. Usually that's not the design we need. Okay. But just to give you an example, the difference between the other two. The ultimate way to do it, usually what we do, we come over here to this switch right here. Uh, and this is what we call on this switch here, we call the multi-layer switch. We configure the VLANs in here, okay? Because the way it works, this is going to be the distribution switch. This is going to be the access switch. And on top of this one here, we have the core layer, okay? So usually we configure VLANs on this, not on this one here, okay? So this is basically later on the next course, we configure this one as a server, and we create all the VLANs in here, then we're gonna push the configuration from the server to the client. We configure those switches as a client. Okay, and that's how it works. Now, of course, since we did this one here, you can do. This is where you can assign the IP addresses for all the VLANs. So you can say config T interface. Well, you have to configure them here. And the reason why, because if you put interface to VLAN 2, it's not going to recognize it. So also I need to configure them in here. So I need to put VLAN 2 name. See, I'm doing double entries. But if I configure this one as a server and this is as a client, I don't have to do that. Okay. Name students, VLAN 3, faculty, VLAN 4, name IT. Hit. Exit. Now I have to say interface VLAN 2, IP address. I need to put the IP address, which is 172.16.2.1 with the subnet mask, of course. Same thing, I need to exit, put interface VLAN 3. What happened? Oh. Interface VLAN 3 IP address. The same thing, 172.16.3.1 255.255.255.0. And also I have to say interface VLAN 4 IP address 172.16.4.1 255.255.255.0. And exit. Do one more time to show all your interfaces. You can say show interface, show IP, sorry, show IP, interface brief. And you can see all this IP addresses for each VLAN right here. So since I enable inter-VLAN routing in here, since I enable inter-VLAN routing in here, so whatever I plug machines in here is going to communicate. So let's see. If I go to put this one here, and this one here, and I go to connect them. So I go over here. This is VLAN 2. I put 1 to 9, so this is safe to put it in here. This is from 1 to 10 to 15. If I put it from any port from 10 to 15, it's gonna work. And this one from 16 to 22 is gonna work. Okay.
Mr. Sharif.
So let's configure this server here, this machine. This is VLAN 2, so I need to assign an IP address 172. 16.2.10 255.255.255. Whoa,
One too many files.
too many fives. Okay, so what's a gateway? 172.16.2.1. Okay. So at this point, I can try to ping all the gateways. So I'll go over here and say, let's ping the gateway first, which is ping 172.16.2.1. So this is good. How about if I want to ping that VLAN 3.1?
Read out one.
Also works good. So we're communicating. Let's test 4.1. 4.1. So now from PC0, I can access VLAN 3 and 4. Okay. Again, from this PC, ping this interface here. Let's try. How many you think we can ping it? Let me test your
Mm,
knowledge.
mm. I
What do
think
you
we can.
think? Can PC0 ping gigabit 0/0 on the other interface, on the router interface, on the ISP?
Possible. Yeah,
What do y'all
cause
think?
yeah, yes,
It's Tuesday morning. We cannot think. What do you think?
yes,
Did you say yes? Who said yes?
yes,
Ah, you said yes. Okay. You said yes. Let's see. Anybody want to say no? Anybody for no? I didn't see anybody said no. What do you think, Mr. DeRusso? You think no or yes or no? 10 dot
Yes.
10 dot 2 dot what? What's the IP address in here? Is it 2? I believe so.
yes.
Yes.
Well, and the answer is yes. You got it. So you can
Now
ping
this.
after this interface. How about this interface? This is 10.20.1.1.
Uh,
20.1.1.
if there's a static route in there,
That's right. We don't create static route on the router to reach the new VLANs that we created. That's why it does not communicate. And the only reason to create this one here because this is directly attached. This not. So I need to create on the ISP. I need to create a static route for all these VLAN that I created. Okay, and that's why we cannot ping this way. Okay,
Mr.
so that's basically
Sharif.
what we're trying to do with the inter-VLAN routing. So there's not much to it. Any question or any explanation? I'm in the switch here. You can do the same thing, but we change the port number assignment. And the same process, you have to do the what we call uh, the port. Like I said, the ports 1 to 9. We're gonna say 1 to 10 or 1 to 11 or so on this one here. So on your exam, maybe I'll give you something with router on the stick configuration you need to do, or you want something with the multi-layer switch.
Either or.
Okay, either or means you familiar with both of them. That's good. I don't want somebody saying surprise. Okay, anybody needs help in this matter? Okay. So today is Tuesday, tomorrow is Wednesday. Wednesday we do more. Tomorrow we'll do more exercise like this. And then we'll take the exam on Thursday. Any objection? No objection.
Nope.
Okay. So between now and then, you need to review all the 4 chapters. And if you have any questions, let me know. Okay. So we're gonna do a quick review tomorrow, and we'll do the test on
Thursday.
Thursday. Any questions? Any concern? Any? I know
I
Brandon
got a question.
wants to go back to sleep. What?
Okay, so on this multi-layer switch, um, so basically as long as we create gigabit 01 as a trunk port, well, we wouldn't even have to create that as a trunk port because the multi-layer switch, if you enable IP routing, should be able to route everything
How
into.
are you gonna carry? How are you gonna know you want to go to this VLAN, not to the other VLANs? You need to have a trunk. The trunk
Gotcha.
port carries
Okay.
all the VLANs.
Okay.
Yep. So that's why you need to put trunk. Now, if you don't wanna configure this one as a trunk, what you do is suppose all of this uh, if all of this belongs to the one VLAN, let's say this is VLAN 10, and you connect this port here on a port that belongs to VLAN 10, then it's okay. You follow what I'm saying?
Okay. Gotcha.
And if this switch here belongs to VLAN 20, and this port here belongs to VLAN 20, then you didn't need the trunk. Trunk,
Gotcha.
basically, you need to create it when
Multiple
you have
VLANs on the layer 2 switch.
yep, yep. That's why we need a trunk. Okay. So if you didn't have a question, we'll stop right here and do the quizzes on the. Are you doing the quizzes on the chapter when you're reading the chapter? Will the test be during the class? Yes.
Hey, Mr. Sharif, I have a question about those quizzes. Are you wanting us to have to make, like, as we do them, turn them into you or something? I'm a little lost to what
No,
you
the,
want us
the
to do with
quizzes
it.
that's for each chapter.
Yes.
No, I don't. You don't need to turn them in, but you need to do it for your own sake.
Okay.
So to test your knowledge if you know the material or not.
Okay.
This is
I
going to help
understand.
you on the test.
Yes, sir.
Any other question?
Sure.
Only thing is just asking if you could post that video after we're done.
Yep, I can do that.
Appreciate